What's the motherfucking deal, man? Welcome to the Den. I am your host, Ed Honcho. I'm glad you could join me today. If you want to follow the Den on all the proper social medias, you can go to @DenShowLive on Instagram and Twitter. On Instagram and Twitter. I'm gonna learn how to speak this English language today. Make sure you tune in live tonight, 10 p.m. Central to midnight every night. Become a part of the live conversation where we discuss, the topics of the day, whatever's going on for the live stream topic that evening. And whatever's on your mind, you feel free to call into the Den line and we'll talk about it live. Whether you agree or disagree, we're all friends of the Den, the best conversation on the internet. Hey, but let's get into it, man. Florida just made a very interesting choice. I haven't even read the article, so we're gonna kind of catch it live. I get the gist of it, of course, and I'll speak my thoughts on it as we go along. But let's just get into it, man. Classroom teachers can have guns. Painful debate marks final passage by Florida House. I think this is very interesting. It says Tallahassee. We're not going to read everything word for word. We're just going to kind of get the gist of it. It's about 7 hours of debate. Florida House passed a bill that will let teachers be armed as in an expansion of the program they created last year after Parkland shooting. I'm gonna be honest, I'm sure it's like an opt-in type deal. It's not saying that every teacher's got to be armed already. But it puts them in a very interesting position, right? So the debate time reached a heightened pitch that had Democrats shouting or tearing up as black members delved into details about their personal experience with racism and their deep-seated fears about minority children being targeted by teachers who have guns. Let's not get into that, man. Let's not necessarily go that far. I think we're jumping the gun. No pun intended. I ain't even think about that. No pun intended. But I don't think teachers are just gonna be out here shooting kids like that. Come on, trust me. I don't think it's gonna go that far. Some of these little niggas wild, so don't be surprised if some shenanigans happen. I mean, I think there will be some fallout from this, not just in the debate, but something's gonna happen. This is just the way the world's been going as of late. Something's gonna happen, and we're definitely gonna hear some stories behind this. But let's continue on, and then we'll talk more about it. So the bill is now on its way to Governor Ron DeSantis' desk. For teachers and other staff to be armed, school districts must opt into the so-called Guardian program, which allows teachers and other staff to volunteer to carry a gun on campus after undergoing screening and training by a local sheriff's office. Representative Jones, a Democrat from West Park, is widely known as a polite speaker and someone who has friends on both sides of the aisle, yelled into his microphone after a Republican said that one of Jones' amendments was implying that teachers are racist. Jones, who is black, has proposed that implicit bias training be mandated as part of the classes teacher and staff must undergo as if they're to be armed at school. That failed, even though some Republicans were convinced to vote for it. There's a reality some of us have that you in the front row couldn't care less about. Referring to the House Republicans' leadership before he began to shout at the microphone, I asked for implicit bias training because we're talking about black boys and girls getting murdered by police officers. They're bad police officers and they're bad teachers. The debate was shaped by breaking news Tuesday that law enforcement officer's gun went off in his holster in Wakeman Middle School's cafeteria, Pasco County. Later today, 2 students were killed and 4 more people were injured during the shooting of University of North Carolina Charlotte's campus. And let's talk about that. Look. My thoughts on police officers these days, it's a tough job, man. It really is a tough job. It's some shit that a lot of y'all don't want to do. You ever spent some time in a county jail or wherever, there's a reason some of these people are in there. Somebody had to bring these motherfuckers in. But I think when it comes to kids, it gets really sketchy. Should there be a gun on campus? Do I think teachers need to be carrying guns? No, not necessarily. Because a lot of times, when these things happen, it tends to, students to just walk on campus and start letting loose. I don't think it really originates in a classroom and then goes there. But, I think what was it with one of those shootings that the campus officer there, and he didn't engage, with the kid. I forgot which shooting it was. Been, a few of them here and there. Why are you asking the teachers to do this? Now, again, it's a volunteer situation. So if they feel like they're willing, cool. But then that makes you kind of question some of their intents and stuff like that. But hey, if you want to feel protected, I feel like you should. But I think there will be a problem. It will be a problem because you got to understand, one, they're not going to go through the intensity, the training or anything like that most police officers will. And I don't think that, I think that it should definitely be, it's going to be tough. When the first one happens, when there is an incident where a teacher shoots a kid, and depending on what the outcome of the situation is and everything with it, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Because again, it's going to happen. And unfortunately, let's be honest, it's going to happen. But Republicans pointed to the fact the commission created to investigate the failings of the Parkland shooting recommended legislation allow classroom teachers to be armed. After Parkland, lawmakers created the Guardian program, which allows staff to carry guns, but excludes teachers who exclusively perform classroom duties as compromised. The bill would undo that exception. So that's what I'm saying. Like, again, what you're gonna have is you're gonna have a lot of teachers who are probably fearful because you hear the news and you hear the things that get pushed all across the country, and they're gonna feel like it's a dangerous job. I wouldn't be surprised if you have some who may resign because of it or may go elsewhere. But it's a lot of shit. Really, it comes down to these fucking parents and doing a shitty job raising these kids, and you leaving these teachers as more than just like babysitters. And I'm not just talking about any particular everybody, because it's just these fucking depressed ass kids who come up shooting up schools and shit like that. And we understand where the majority of it happens, but it's just shitty job by shitty parents. And again, the teachers are the ones who are going to have to handle that. Then you're going to have some parents who are going to be upset because some kid got gunned down for crazy behavior. And it's crazy. It's just crazy to even think about it, that's what I'm saying. But it's going to happen. And I hate to be that guy, but it will. Byron Donalds pointed out the fact that law enforcement officers assigned to the Stone School did not engage in shooting. That's what I was talking about. And that's what I'm saying right there. Why don't we have better law enforcement presence on these campuses? I mean, I think, you'd feel more comfortable with a trained officer than a teacher. Because again, there's going to be a whole lot of thoughts going through their mind. I don't think they're going to be, as prepared for a situation. What's to keep them, again, like I say, just that whatever training they get is not going to be adequate enough. If officers still making these mistakes and this is their job, this is their entire livelihood, you're telling me a teacher who should be focused on classroom curriculum is going to make the right decision if it comes down? It sounds good. They always say, the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. But we've seen several good guys get laid out too, for just being there with a gun. I think there's a lot of things to take into account with this. I just think this is really crazy. It's unfortunate that this is what the country has come to, because we have a situation. I'm not sitting here saying, I need to advocate for gun control or anything like this. It's just maybe you need to either have more well-trained officers on campus, and if they're not going to be willing to protect the kids on campus, then get them out of there. Go put them in a desk or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not where they need to be. They say the children are the future, but shit, well, who doesn't want to protect them? Why are you even a campus officer if you're not there to protect the kids? Again, breaking up fights and all that stuff is cool, but we know what happens in this country, and it'll happen again, and it'll be very unfortunate to see what happens. The hard truth is we never know how anybody's going to respond. What we do know is Coach Aaron Fife responded the only way he could. He put his body in the way of the students. The real first responders are the school staff that love our children. They are the real first responders because they are there at the time the tragedy happens. And their job is not to be a first responder. Their job is not to be a shooter. Their job is not to do anything. Their job is to teach the fucking kids. And now to have this in the back of the mind at all times, anytime something happens. And then we live in a day and age where kids, they do shit. They do this trolling and they do all this other shit. I'm telling you, it's unfortunate, but this is going to lead to something. And of course, it's happening in Florida because Florida. But let's kind of finish the article, and I'll get a little bit more into it. During the debate, Democrats accused the Republican majority of blatant partisanship as they voted down all the Democrats' more than 20 amendments, some of which proposed to increase training requirements and set parameters for how the gun should be stored. And I do agree that that's a thing that should be happening. Now, they should be accessible. They shouldn't be on their person. Because again, like I said, you have these kids these days who are delusional, dysfunctional, mental. They talk about kids in high school now are more depressed than ever. I don't understand. There's more access to everything in the world than ever before. But for some reason, kids are more depressed than ever. A lot of it is based on this social media and all this comparisons. Again, where parenting fails because they put these electronics and these devices in their kids' hands instead of actually being parents. And it's fucking up their mentality. It's fucking up they're losing that physical connection for the digital connection, and that digital connection cannot supplement that. And these kids are loco, man, and I wouldn't be surprised there's going to be a situation if they are allowed to carry it on their person that some kid's going to try it. It's going to happen, and it's going to be very unfortunate, whatever the outcome is for everybody involved. Representative Kristen Jacobs, Coconut Creek, which district includes Parkland, said this year feels different than last year's bipartisan effort to respond to the tragedy. A year ago, we were fresh on the horror of what happened in Parkland. There was compromise. There was goodness in that bill. I don't feel this way about the bill. I don't feel the we in this bill. We knew the outcome on my side the minute it came up because we're not really at the table. Bill passed 65 to 47 with 5 Republicans crossing the party lines to vote against it. That's crazy, man. That's super crazy. And in a situation like this, like all that partisanship shit needs to be thrown out the window. Like I tell you, I'm not left, I'm not right, I'm an independent thinker. Really fucking say, hey, all politics, because they're all scumbags, they under somebody's dollar. But you know, it is what it is. When these are the people that you choose to elect because you think they have your best interest in mind, and it's gonna be one of these kids again. Like I say, he's gonna try to test them. And like I say, you know, it's very unfortunate. Some of these kids are mental, you know, and they may not have access to one, but they see the teacher got one, or the teacher has to keep it on them. They step out of class or whatever. Like, I think that there should be extensive training. If you're gonna do it, you know, hey, y'all got 3 months in the fucking summertime. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got summertime coming up right now. So they should be taking extensive training if they want to fucking do it. I don't see why you wouldn't. You know, I don't think that just if you have a CHL, or I don't know how the rules flow in Florida. What they call it, the gunshine state. But you know, there should be extensive training. Like, and I mean, you should have to pass a few levels of tests. You know what I mean? Like I said, because you're talking about cops who don't engage. You talk about these teachers, and some of these teachers are having affairs with the kids. So you're telling me that they're going to make the best decisions? Like, I don't necessarily see it, man. I really don't. Like I say, it's unfortunate that it has to come to this. I want to know how you feel, man. I want to know what your thoughts on this, man. We'll talk about this more later tonight live. I just kind of got to gather some more thoughts on this. I want to get a little bit more details. I see this kind of recently came out, but I want to know your thoughts on this. But with that being said, man, hey, Den Show live every night, 10 p.m. Central to midnight live. You can call in to the Den line, express your thoughts about whatever we're talking about, whatever the topic may be. Hey, I appreciate you checking it out. Make sure, again, like I say, on Instagram and Twitter, at Den Show Live, different platforms, same name. If you're going to catch me, it's Ed Honcho HTX, Instagram and Twitter, different platforms, same name. But with that being said, hey, I appreciate y'all being a friend of the Den. You know, you denizens, you degenerates, Den folk. I'll catch y'all later on, man. This crazy world we live in. It's only getting crazier, man. I'm out.